Please start.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Today, we are going to talk one of the most crucial topic of how do we get visibility, right? Because we've all been there, done a lot of very good work. Now, how do we make that work speak for itself? So, before we start, I want to take a pause and ask this question. Just reflect for a few seconds. Have you ever worked extremely hard but felt that nobody even noticed it? Have you been there where you felt that I worked really good, but then I was not given the deserved promotion or hike? Has that ever happened to you? Maybe we have also solved a lot of problems, stepped up, taken ownership, done things beyond it was expected. But you know, the feeling of unseen, not acknowledged, almost invisible, it has happened to all of us, right? Has it ever happened that you gave your best shot and someone else or someone who talks better, presents better, or just sells better got all the visibility, recognition, and opportunity? An opportunity of working in a new topic, a challenging one, or even going on site? If yes, I want you to know this very clearly. There is nothing wrong with your capability, there's nothing wrong with your intelligence, and there's nothing wrong in your work ethic as well. The problem is something very different, something that schools never taught us, even our corporate job never taught us, something that actually decides our growth and very important. And that is what we are going to talk in today's session. Today, we are talking about something called as that value blind spot. Why your work, the value that you bring, isn't getting that growth that it deserves. Now, let me say this again more simply to you. Your work has value, but the value is not being seen or felt or remembered. And until it becomes visible, your growth will always be slower than your effort. And that's what it is. Until the work that you do, the value of your work has become visible, your growth will always feel slower than your effort. And here's the exciting part, this can be fixed. And once it is fixed, your career will look completely different. So, I welcome you to this conversation. And today, I'm going to help you understand that one gap that holds back even the most talented professionals. The same gap that once solved puts your career on a altogether different career trajectory. Sounds exciting, right? Now, let's talk about what exactly is that value blind spot. Because once you understand this, you will never communicate the value of the work that you did the same way again. So now let's look at what it is. Value blind spot is very simple. It's the gap between the value you create and the value people will perceive. You are contributing, but people can't fully see it. You're solving problems, but the impact isn't landing for people. You are doing more than what is being expected, but your growth is still slow. And here is the truth nobody tells you in corporate. Work does not speak for itself. People speak, right? Perception speaks. And more importantly, communication speaks. I'll give you a real life example. You say, I finished the project. Your manager hears task is done. But when you meant what you meant really was, I finished the report and this report helps the customer takes their decision faster and reduces rework and supports in the next sprint. This is what you really meant. But what did you say? I finished the report. What did your manager hear? Task done. Your value is there, but it is just buried under that task. You say, I coordinated with the team. Another instance. What is hidden under that line? I coordinated with the team. I did stakeholder alignment. I did conflict resolution. I did timeline management. I took ownership of my stakeholders. I did risk mitigation. And I did relationship building. But what happened? You ended up just telling that I coordinated with the team and the task is done. And all of the stakeholder alignment, conflict resolution, timeline management, none of it gets communicated. So, what really happens? People see the task as done, not the intelligence and the strategy that went behind the task. What really happens? Your manager sees the effort, not the outcome, the value of the outcome that you're making. They would have seen, oh, okay, this person has worked for one day and he has delivered the result. But what went? What is the value of this outcome? What is this report creating? What kind of value? So, what is right now happening is your manager is seeing the execution. They know that you're doing the work, but they're not able to understand the impact that you're creating. And this is exactly what I call the value blind spot. And almost every professional, especially the sincere ones, the hardworking ones, has this blind spot. It is not incompetence, but it is the invisibility. And guess what? Invisibility is the one that slows your growth. And if you look at people who rise faster, are not the ones who work the hardest, but the ones who communicate their work with clarity, confidence, and context. And today, I'm going to teach you on how to fix this. And once you fix it, your work becomes visible, your presence becomes more felt, and your impact becomes undeniable. And that's what we all want to achieve, right? Now let's move on and look at all the more the credibility and the value. So let me now show you something that's going to absolutely blow your mind, and it absolutely blew my mind when I first learned it. Because many of us think maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I need one more certification. Maybe my work is not very strong enough. But guess what the data tells you? Data tells the real truth, right? The truth is this: professionals don't struggle because of capability, they struggle because their value is not communicated clearly. Now, I'll show you some numbers to back up what I just said. 70% of employers say your personal brand matters more than your resume. And we are all living in this digital era, right? Nobody looks at your resume, your CV. The first thing that somebody wants to hire you or even speak to you just goes onto your LinkedIn and checks what kind of digital presence that you have. So your personal brand matters more than anything that's written on the paper. This means it is not who you are on the paper, it's who you are in people's mind. Perception. Remember, that's what we spoke about. Teams with strong communication practices are 25% more productive. What does this mean? This fact tells us very strongly that communication is not a soft skill anymore. It is the key performance driver. And use this performance driver to drive results for you as well. Remember what we spoke earlier? Your work cannot speak, but you can. And that's how, through communication, you build value for yourself. And the third thing that I wanted to tell you as a data is that employee visibility online has 561 percentage more reach than your official company communication. So now you know all the more why digital presence is important, right? We're not talking about even 100%, it is 561 percentage more reach. This means that you are the brand and your reputation is your competitive advantage. Please always remember your 561 percentage contribution, your competitive advantage is coming through the personal brand that you're going to create, not on the paper, but how people perceive you. And how do people perceive you? Is the way you can communicate the value of the work that you do. And do you also know miscommunication costs companies more than like 1 trillion globally every year? This means clarity is a business asset. If you are clear in your communication, it means that you become indispensable at your work. So you need clarity in your communication as well. And the fifth point that I wanted to drive is in India, strong professional branding reduces the hiring time and cost by 50 percentage. What does this mean to us? This means visibility makes you choosable. You're the first person to get chosen for anything, for a new job, for a new opportunity, for the hike, for the promotion, for the challenge. And the most shocking one is 85 percentage of professionals feel undervalued at work. While we know that 561 percentage depends on the personal brand that you build, we know that the clarity is very important. We know that the companies pay more than 1 trillion globally because of miscommunication costs. Yet 85 percentage of professionals feel they are undervalued at work. Why? Not because their work lacks quality, but because the leaders don't understand fully their contributions. And when I say this, I asked, when I saw this for the very first time, I asked myself, if this is the reality, then why are we not being taught how to communicate our value clearly? When we know all of this, right? This 85 percentage of people feeling undervalued at work, when you know that 561 percentage of your growth is dependent on your personal brand, there's trillions of money which is getting wasted just because of your communication, miscommunication issues. And 70 percentage of your employers just look at your personal brand and don't even look at the paper that you submit. We need to learn on how to clearly communicate a value. Because here's the truth: corporate promotes clarity, not just the effort. Corporate rewards visibility, not the silent hard work that you bring to work. And once you understand this, you will realize that communicating your impact is not showing off, it's not bragging, it's not arrogance. It is plain simple your professional responsibility to communicate your impact. Very simple, right? It's helping your manager see the real value you're creating. It's helping the organization recognize what you bring to the table. And all the more, it is going to help you get the growth that you already deserve. And that is exactly what we are going to do today. Removing that blind spot that is blocking you from getting your rise, getting your opportunity, getting your promotion, getting your growth. Let's look at how do we remove it. Very important, right? Now that you understand the concept and now that you've seen the data, I want to bring this to you because the value blind spot is not theoretical. It shows up in your daily work. And I want you to reflect for a moment. Where is your value getting lost? Take a quick second to think about it. And if you're comfortable, do drop the answer in the chat. Where is the value getting lost? Because I know that all of us are working, hardworking, and then we're creating a lot of value. But why is this value not communicated to people? If you look at it, most professionals, the blind spot appears in one or two areas. I want to list it down. Number one, in meetings, you do the work, but someone explains it better. And then all eyes turn to that person who is able to explain it better. Number two, in the one on ones with your manager or boss, you talk about tasks, but you do not talk about the impact. You remember the report that you have created? All that your boss hears is task done. But how did you do the report? What does this report help in? You need to talk about the impact. Third thing, where you lose the value, where is the value blind spot? Is in your cross team discussions. In your updates, you sound more like you have executed the task, you've done this, you've done that, not the contribution that you make. That's another place where it is getting lost. The fourth place where your value is lost is in weekly or monthly reports. You list what you did, but you do not list what you changed, what you impacted. So that is again a place where you greatly miss on what impact that your work brought. Another place where you lose your value is your performance reviews. Guess what happens? Year end, you forget 70% of what you've achieved because you never captured it during the year. And we all need a mechanism to capture what we have done through the year. Otherwise, year end, we go sit, we only remember the last 1 month or 2 months. What about the rest of the months? 70 percentage, you forgot it. And very importantly, on your LinkedIn, you have a profile, yes, but do you have a brand? That's something that we'll have to think about. Another thing, another place where you lose your value is in your daily presence. People see your presence, but they don't feel your value, do they? Now, I would like all of us to think for a minute, where is this value slipping through the crack? And this is powerful because awareness is the first step to transformation. And here's the truth, you don't need to do too much of work, but what you have to start with is you just need to communicate the work that you're already doing in a better way. And visibility is not about making noise or doing show off. Let's understand that visibility is clarity. And visibility is not manipulation of, oh, I've done a great job. Visibility is plain, simple articulation. What I have done. If you can do that, that's all enough. And communication is not an extra skill. It is the difference between being good at what you do and being known for what you do. I'd like to repeat that. It is a difference between doing good at what you do and being known for what you do. And today's session is your first step in that direction. Let's continue and look at a nice framework that I would like to give it to you or present it to you so that we do not lose our value at work anymore. I'd like to call this the VII framework. And what does it mean? Value, impact, and influence. And this is where we together get the transformation of our value that we create. And this is the heart of today's session, the part that will completely change the way you communicate at work right from tomorrow. It helps you, this VII framework helps you to turn any task, any update, any activity into a leadership level communication. And that's what we need, right? Let's shift from giving updates that this task is done, report is done, to move into this leadership level communication. So from today onwards, you will never do any update on the task or activity. You're now going to get into a leadership level communication, and I'm here to help you with this framework. Now, let me break that down for you. VII framework, the first V stands for value. What outcome did your work create? Mostly people only communicate activity, right? And all of us have been guilty of doing that, isn't it? I prepared the deck, I did the testing, I handled the escalation, I coordinated with the team, right? We've all been guilty of giving this update as an activity. But none of the above, what I've told, deck and is testing and coordinating with the team, shows value. Value is not the task that you do, value lies in the outcome. And do you know how value sounds like? Let's say I say, I prepared the deck or I completed the deck. How about moving into this leadership level communication where I say, I prepared a deck that helped the customer understand the complete project roadmap ahead, and they gave an approval for it. You see the difference? I prepared the deck to where it is. The low level activity kind of updates will just tell, I've concluded the testing. How about shift into telling, I conducted the testing today that reduced the post release issues by 50%. And there you made an impact. If you would have told that I just concluded the testing, check on the task which is done. Low level, I conducted testing that reduced the post release issues by 60%. You're showing the impact that you've created. Another example, I coordinated with the team. Again, low level communication. I coordinated with the team to resolve blocks faster by 10%. Maybe you can add on and tell that, made sure that these kind of blockers will never appear in future. Wow, that's an impact that you've created. Another example could be, I handled this escalation. Super low level, right? I've handled this escalation. But how about you shift into this leadership level communication? I handled the escalation and restored the confidence of the customer. We've won the trust of the customer back. Same work, isn't it different value that we are looking at from talking about the low level updates to stepping up and talking about the impact that you've created? Same work, different value. Moving on to the next point, which is impact. Impact means, what measurable change did it drive? Impact is numbers. It could be time saved, cost reduced, quality improved, risks prevented, accelerated business value. So, what happens is most people stop at the activity, but your leadership level communications shows the shift. Let's say I've created the report, low level communication. I've created a report that reduced the manual tracking and improved the decision making by so many percentage, or this times faster, two times faster. That impact makes you memorable. Instead of saying, I fixed a bug, to I fixed a critical bug that prevented the delivery delay. Impact makes you memorable, makes you more visible, isn't it? Now, moving on to the third topic, which is influence. Who benefited? What changed for them? That's the influence. Influence is always about who is getting benefited and what changed for them. What is the impact that you've created for them, right? That is the magic layer. Your manager or boss doesn't really care about the activity, but they would definitely care about who benefited. Is it the team? Is it the customer? Is it the business? Is it the revenue? What is it? So, influence connects your work to the larger outcome. For example, you say, I updated this document. Good. But is this version powerful? No. It's a low level communication. Now let's shift into the higher level communication. You go on to explain, updated the documentation which helped onboard three new team members faster and reduced the dependency on the technical experts. Now you see, right? You're talking about team members and then the reduction of dependency on the technical expert. And that makes your work sound more strategic. That's the influence part. Who benefited? What changed for them? And that is when your manager will be able to understand what is the overall impact that you've created. Now, let's put all of this together. Let me give you a before and after transformation. Let's say a typical update, right? I conducted a training session, a typical update, an activity update that we do, a low level communication that we do. Now, how about we move to the VII update, value, impact, influence? I conducted a training session that reduced the onboarding time by 30% and helped the team work independently without the technical experts' support. You see, I conducted a training session to what it is right now. The first V is the value. What is a value? I conducted a training session, right? That is a value that you have mentioned. What outcome did you create? I conducted a training session. That is a value that you have created. Now, moving on to impact. What is impact? What measurable change did it drive? Because that is where the impact that you are creating. So, what is impact? Reduced the onboarding time by 30%. Impact. Now, moving on to the influence, the last I. What is influence? Who is benefited and what changed for them? So now you go on to explain that helped the team work independently. So now who is benefited? The team. And what changed for them? Reduce the dependency on the technical expert. Influence. And this is how professionals become industry experts. And this is how managers becomes leader. And this is exactly how the invisible work becomes completely undeniable. Now, let's do a live exercise. Just take one task you did in this week, just one. How, instead of saying that I did this task, how can you now rewrite it using the value, the impact, and the influence? That is a game changer. Now, I want you to pause and think about something very important. Just in the last few minutes, by shifting one thing, your communication structure, your entire perception changed, isn't it? Imagine if this wasn't just one shift. Imagine if you could master the art of communicating your value, the art of articulating your brand, the art of showcasing your strengths, and the art of positioning your impact to people. And all of this put together will absolutely create visibility for you in the meetings, the influence that you carry in your presence, and the kind of powerful LinkedIn identity that you'll be creating. And most importantly, to create a full visibility roadmap. Not someday, but just all of that in one day. And this is what we would like, and we've created as this brand fluence bootcamp, where we are planning to do it on December 13th and 14th. It is going to be two half a day workshops at Shabana in the Mavin. It would be hosted. We would love for you to come to the Brand Fluence Bootcamp and walk away with brand clarity to define who you are at work, what do you stand for, what do you want to be known for. And then there's this VII communication framework where we'll turn every update into a leadership level communication, and then look at the LinkedIn visibility audit, because we just saw, right? Research says 561 percentage. That's a huge number. That is a percentage your digital presence matters. So we'll also look at the LinkedIn review and instant fixes and how your profile reflects value. Because today, what we see is all the professionals have a profile, but do we have a brand? Is a question that we'll have to ask ourselves. And I'm sure when you walk out of this particular workshop, you will walk out with a clarity on your brand and also a roadmap where you can create this visibility for yourself, because we all also saw, right? Visibility is what end of the day matters. We all are absolutely capable, doing amazing work, doing a lot of hard work. But how do you turn that hard work into visibility? Because visibility is the one which will take your career growth higher and higher every day. And your work is already valuable, but your growth depends on how clearly you communicate your value to people. And that's about it. More details, you can have it in the description of where this video would be posted, or in the community of Mavin as well. And I hope to see you in the sessions on December 13th and 14th. On that note, I'd like to conclude and open the floor for any questions.
Thank you, Kavina. It was really wonderful session. And I think we have quite a few participants who would like to ask or share their feedback.
Thank you, Shavana. Yes.
Yeah, Samina ji, Darshini, and Rajman.
Darshini, I'm just looking at the message that you have put.
Yes.
There's a statement which comes into my mind. Tell them what you have to tell them. Tell them. Tell them what you have already told them. Yeah.
I think this just hit
Nice.
my mind when you were talking about the topic you're talking. So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to tell. As I mentioned, work does not have mouth to speak.
Yeah.
So only you have to talk about your work.
Yes.
And it's no more the capability aspect, right? It is about how can you communicate.
So,
So Kavina, well, the value blind spot is a very good topic today. Early in the morning, my hypnotherapist, because I didn't go for my hypnotherapy session, I won a award. My conference went on well, shining spotlight. Laughter yoga went on fine. I won the spotlight, and then my hypnotherapist got me this morning all the way from Australia. He sent me resilience, the art of letting go. Now, resilience is the value blind spot for anything in life, whether it's your work, whether it's your anything. You have to be resilient, and I am resilient, but when I'm faced in the negative comments over and over again, I find it very difficult to let go, because you love it's the person it's the people you love that since you other than your parents, other than your caregivers, there's people who send you negative energy from. So well, it's just you have you have to hold it in. The question is this: how long could you hold it in, and uh how could you? That's number one, family dynamics. But number two, how do you deal with a person who has a value blind spot that sucks your energy away, sucks your energy away like a vacuum? So how do you deal with that? It's in my workplace. So how do you deal with it? Thank you.
First of all, more power to you. Through all that you're going through, you are a rock star for sure. And yes, coming to answer the first question, was how long can you hold it up, right? So for me, as long as I'm living, I am going to hold up or put up with people who are there around, because I'm someone who's very passionate about life, and I'm sure knowing you for this long, you are as equally passionate about life. So when people put us down, when people throw us or pull us down, the one thing that keeps me going is the passion and purpose with which I live. And I've always felt that, we are all born for bigger things and not to be letting ourselves go or pulled down by people around us. So that's how I put up with people, to hold on to the passion and hold on to the purpose in which I'm here to serve bigger. That's something that I've always held on for myself, and then I keep putting up with people around, and I'm sure the question that you asked, how long can you put up? As long as we live, right? The second question that you asked is, how do we take care when people around us are pulling us down, sucks your energy? If they are not your first circle, then I would say, please let them go out of your life. And that's the easiest way where we can keep ourselves out of, they call them the energy vampires. So let's keep ourselves away from the energy vampires. In
Some of them,
case,
so, in this case, they're my first. So
yes,
at the same time, I cannot let go. When they're in family functions, they're always there.
I get you. In the case where they are your first circle and you can't let them go, having healthy boundaries will, and consistently practicing those healthy boundaries is something that will keep us away from getting sucked by energy. And what I do generally is that anytime I get my energy distorted, I come back and think, what is my bigger purpose? And that gives me a way, yeah, gives me a way to continue to honor, continue to practice the boundaries that I have with them, so that I don't get sucked off the energy. That being said, I see Darshini's hand being raised. I'm sure she has something to tell about this. Darshini, go ahead.
I just had a question. Is Rajvin done with the question? You done answering her question? I had a different
Yes,
question.
yes, I'm done. Over to you.
Yeah, cool. Uh, I think first of all, it was very thought provoking, and certain segments need a deep thought in understanding what you as a brand want to deliver back to the society. That is something I have noticed in this particular session. Now, being that said, is there any checklist or something when you're starting out initially? How do
Hmm.
we, project ourselves? Okay, as a brand, customers or clients can trust and come to us. So is there anything that you would give like a tips or anything? Because initially when I started out my career, I did almost of close to 2 years of pro bono work. So somewhere I feel many a times, you take you you've been taking for granted. And sometimes it comes to me as, the price is very expensive. So what is your take on this particular aspect? So for an individual who's starting out.
Got you. Dashni, the first thing that we will have to look at in establishing a brand is what are our key strengths, right? What is those USPs? Because everybody has a lot of qualities that might be overlapping. But what is that very unique about me? Unique about you is something that we will have to look at. So the first thing is understanding your strengths and understanding what is this USP that you bring on the table, which nobody can bring. The
Okay.
second thing is we should also look at it is not just about us anymore. We have to look at where are we professionally placed? Who are your stakeholders? Who are your target audience? And then looking
Okay.
at what would they need. If you're say,
Mm.
let's say catering to corporate professionals, your brand has
Okay.
to be a little different. If you're catering to the
Okay.
C-suite or the corporate leaders, then the branding would change, be different. So these are two aspects that you have to do. One is your USP. The other one is what would your target audience look for, right? When we are doing for a corporate leaders, we need to go highly professional. The kind
True.
of
True.
language that we use, the kind of colors that you use on your website, the kind of brochures that you'll have to do is going to be completely different compared to the corporate professionals. Number 3, you also brought in the pricing aspect. Since you're talking about more on the entrepreneurial thing, if you would like to be premiumly placed, then all of your things like your brochures, your flyers, your website has to be speaking premium. And that is one place where they look at your brand and they know that, okay, this person is premium with her outcomes. She looks premium in her flyers, in her brochure. So I know before I come, I know that it's going to be premiumly placed. One more aspect of branding which we do not generally talk is people, you will only attract the right kind of audience. Not the right people will look at your website and they will go away. And if you're doing your brand in a way that you're very precise about who you are, what do you cater to the target audience, and what kind of pricing that you do, you will attract only the right audience. Therefore, people who are who would only be able to price low will not even come your side. If you are aligning your brand, in a same message, same language, same everything, then you will only attract your kind of audience who will not come and tell you that, hey, you're pricing really high. And trust me, there are a lot of brands which really, example is your Starbucks, right? And there's one video which goes very on Instagram. I don't know what is that show. It's supposed to be some reality show. They bring actresses, Bollywood, Hollywood, or not Hollywood, sorry, Bollywood actress. They will serve two different coffees and they will ask which is costlier and which is less expensive one. And trust me, they all go to Starbucks. They cannot even identify which coffee it is, but still they go to Starbucks. They choose, actually, I've seen a lot of them choose a very, very inexpensive coffee and call it that, hey, this is very nice, right? But we know that Starbucks, just because of the ambience, just because the primary location that they take, the kind of lighting, seating, we all just go there to drink a coffee which otherwise was rejected, and we pay so much income. Why? Because it only attracts people who will go there and not call it expensive. Have you ever heard about people going to Starbucks and calling it expensive? Nobody at all. Because it attracts the people in a right manner. And branding is exactly that. If we are doing everything perfectly, no wrong audience or target people would come to you and say that, hey, it's expensive. I hope I answered.
Wait, yes, you did answer. Just, maybe it's a question, or maybe I just want to know if I'm the right path. Still, I'm somewhere trying to figure out who's my target audience. I've been working with very target audience from the beginning, but still I'm not able to niche down, okay, this is my target audience. Is there any way to do that? Or is it just I'm in the right path doing the right things?
I would still say you're in the right path, trying out a lot of things. At one point, you will understand that, okay, they are my target audience. Here are people who will get the
Okay.
actual transformation. So when I started out helping corporate professionals to speak with value, impact, all of that. At one point, I realized that I'm meant to talk about leadership communication, and to leaders and managers is who I would be able to passionately communicate and create value. At one point, I realized, and then I shifted. So, similarly, in your journey, you will also understand who is this people whom you are passionately talking to, who is this people you will be able to create value, and then you can niche it down a little along the way, I would say. But I think you're already in the right path of trying and testing and doing a lot of things. One day you will know that, okay, this is what I'm very passionate about. Because end of the day, it is not just the target audience, right? It is our
True.
passion and the transformations, more importantly, that we bring in. And I have
So
huge
thank you.
respect for all trainers, coaches who are trying to bring that transformation for every individual.
I think
Thank you,
it's more
Dashni.
than a paycheck moment which you have, seeing that smile, seeing that transformed, individuals in standing in front of you, are doing bigger things than what we were doing. So yes,
Absolutely. And I
great.
still get a lot of people. Last year, I did a session for women leaders, and today, when I walk on the in the canteen and the corridors, no, they'll be like, "You are Kavina, right?" I'm like, "Yes." So I very well remember what you said, and then they say the content as well, and then I go, "Wow!" And that
Yes.
satisfaction is simply amazing. And you know
True,
what
true.
neuroscience says? Neuroscience says that your audience will forget 90 percentage of your content in less than 48 hours. 48 hours, 90 percentage of the content is washed away. And now I'm getting, after 1 year, somebody talking about my content, and I'm like, I can't be so grateful for the life that I'm leading on planet Earth. The gratitude is just amplifies for me. So that's the amazing work that all of us are doing. So you're already doing great, Dashni. Please continue.
Yeah.
Things will come in place when you'll start realizing at one point that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Great, great, great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Prem sir, would you like to add to something?
He's been taking notes. In between, I've been noticing him taking notes also.
And then I'll ask, isn't it? And then he'll nod. So sometimes the isn't it is for him.
Yeah, because thank you very much. I find it because I'll be very frank. I'm very busy. I got so many things on my plate, but I try to squeeze in to come onto this platform, and I'm like getting a fresh air here. Yeah, after where I come from, oh man, I really need fresh air, and then once this session's over, I note down, then I digest. I sit down and I go eat. Otherwise, I'll forget. So I make notes. Okay, how is it going to apply to me? So
Mm,
I make it a note. Then I will communicate with my other partners. Okay, this is what I picked up because they are busy. So I share with them. So it becomes
lovely.
so we are trying to benefit. I mean, we try to really do things which are effective and efficient, and so that it delivers the message to the people we intend to. So I really enjoy these sessions here, and my
Thank you very much.
empathy for Rajvin, Veena. I agree. These things happen. We just soldier on, lah. It doesn't matter. It's our battle. We go on with it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. All right.
Okay. Thank you so much, Kavina. It was really wonderful. And all the feedback also contributed a lot. So thank you. And see
Thank
you
you,
again
Shabana.
tomorrow.
And a huge shout out to the workshop that is coming all of
Yeah.
your way, December 13th and 14th. Shabana will
I'll
give
share
you
the
more
flyer.
details
Yeah.
in the community.
Yes,
Hoping to
definitely.
see you all there.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.